it's modern day word of mouth. That's what social media is.
Yes.
Whenever I speak to any of the tradesmen that I know that do work in the house, and I've got 3 or 4 of them on speed dial that and I don't really ever use anyone else.
Yeah.
Um, I'll always say to them, "How'd you get business?" And they'll say, "I literally every bit of business I've had for the last 10 years has come from someone else that I've just done business for."
Ooh.
And none of them do any marketing. None of them have to. Don't do any of that. Now, trades are going through a very, very lucrative period at the moment. And maybe one day that will start to tail off and things will change. But we're talking about people that haven't had to do anything for 10 years. They've just had constant word of mouth. And social media is that modern day word of mouth. It's making sure that you are front of mind when people think, oh, okay. And you are dead right as well. And some people will argue this. Some people will say it's all about the product. It's irrelevant whether they like the person or not. If you're Amazon, I agree.
I agree too.
Probably most people don't really care whether they like Jeff Bezos or not.
No,
But
I
when
know
you're
people
talking
who
about
love Amazon and hate Bezos.
yeah,
Like,
but it's too big to be considered in the same bracket as what we're discussing here.
and when I'm
For
buying a
the
pair of
other
socks, I don't care who the CEO is of the company. I just want them to arrive next day and so my feet are warm, right? Bosh, done.
exactly. But if you're paying people hundreds or thousands of pounds for a service and you are a relatively small company yourself, you wanna buy into the person well before you buy into the product. That I've there's since we started Unconventional Apparel last year, there's 5 different services that I've needed as part of the business.
Like part of the supply
Whether
chain
it's
type thing. Yeah.
accountancy or HR or any of that stuff. All of those people have come from LinkedIn. All of them. Every single service has been because I've gone, "Oh, I need so and so. Oh, I'll speak to I'll speak to her. Oh, I'll speak to him."
Yeah.
Front of
Even if it's
mind.
just to say, "Hey, I know you and you're in this industry. Do you know someone?" Right? Not even, and that is then up to that person to turn that conversation around and be like, "I am
Yep,
that person. We should
yep,
talk to me." Right? But I'm the same. That's where I go for. That's my network. And it's
mm,
so much bigger than my network. I forget the rule, but it's 150 Friends Club is a band I know, which is based upon the rule that you can only have 150 friends. And it
mm,
comes from villages, right? Your brain only has the capacity to actually have like 150 acquaintances, should we say. But apart from that, you're just kind of fitting people in and out of being like, yeah, I know you, but you're not one of my, core or slightly out
yeah,
of thing. And that's friends, family. Like there's only so many brain space. I have 10,000 people I'm connected to on LinkedIn. There's so much ability. The other day I was looking for a tender writer, right? Want to do some tenders, just won a nice big one. Fantastic. I definitely don't want to do that again. It's long writing that stuff out. No interest in it. So
yeah,
I put out on LinkedIn, tenders assemble, because I thought it sounded
yeah,
like Avengers. Um,
it does.
yeah, it does, right? And literally, the reason that we went for the person we went for in the end was it was just the knowledge of crowds. A bunch of people that I know and respect all posted the same person. Got to
Yeah,
speak to Nick. Got to speak to Nick. Ah, have you checked out Nick? Nick McEwen. Nick McEwen. We were like, all right. Now we still did due diligence and spoke to a bunch of people. And when we spoke to Nick, we were like, wow, everybody's right.
yeah,
Right. But it's not even, I didn't have someone in my network to help me with tenders, but I do have a network of people outside of the people I've met and know, like, know, um,
yeah,
that I can ask for help. I can ask for their
yeah,
experience, their recommendations, their knowledge. And back to what you're saying about construction not needing leads or like needing to market themselves to
mm,
get that inbound. It's so true. Everyone I work in trade says the same thing. However, it took us 19 months to find a gardener at our
mm,
place. We were looking at 3 gardens to be done, sort of 3 houses in a row. Wicked, we want one gardener do it all. Really nice contract for a gardener. They're also like nice already, we're not destroyed. We didn't know anyone who could give us a referral.
mm,
Right? So there was no word of mouth for us. Like
yeah,
we wanted to give someone good the business, but I just didn't know anyone who had that sort of size of job themselves and had experience with someone. They were like, you got to call Janie. She's amazing. She's going to do it all for you. Right. So we literally were just going online, finding people and being like, And trades is one of those places where the really good
mm,
people don't have a website.
no,
They don't need one, right? Until they get to a certain stage where they're like, guess I'll throw one of those up. So social gives you the chance to have that. And like, if I'd been able to post out and on Facebook, maybe to friends and family and said like, desperate for a gardener,
yeah,
and those gardeners were out there on social doing the thing,
yeah,
putting the name out, a bunch of people would have been like, here's the link. Check out
yeah.
this person. I've used them. Oh, have you tried these guys instead? Instead, I posted that out and got no response. And people were like, I know a handyman. I'm like,
I
no, 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 I want a
yeah.
gardener.
I actually think, and this is something that I was gonna write about next week, it's like, why do Amazon, McDonald's, Coca-Cola, all the biggest brands in the world that you look at and go, "If they didn't advertise for a month, I would still know they're there." It's surely people would still buy Coke. Surely people would say, but even the biggest brands in the world spend billions of pounds on ad space and media because they want to stay front of mind at all time, because the second Coca-Cola don't, you have a milkshake instead.
100%. I don't really
It
drink that much Coke at Christmas. However, the days are coming. The
yeah,
days are coming. And I'm like,
yeah.
I'm going to buy
You
some
get a pack of Coke.
Coca-Colas for Christmas. So totally. There's like
Yeah,
30 cans of Coke in my shed for gift every Christmas,
yeah,
without a doubt. Because that's when
yep, same.
Christmas has arrived, right?
Exactly. And that's the biggest brands in the world. So why the small guys that might have a bit of business coming in here and there think that they don't need to be in
Mm.
and amongst the circles where their customers reside just baffles me. And I don't know if it's that they don't think it's important. I just think, and Odessa and I have noticed this over the last 4 weeks, where you'll speak to a bunch of people and they'll take a while to, they know they want it,
Mm.
but then it takes a while for them to almost bring it up the priority list. Do you know what I
Yeah, I
mean?
do know what you
Because
mean.
it isn't, it's part of our job is to shift it up a few levels of that priority list.
Mm.
Because right now they're like, I'm basically stacked. I can't process what you're saying to me because I've got too much work on. I know I need to do it, but I just can't physically allocate you the time to convince me, or even
Yeah,
just tell me what you're going to do for me. And
yeah.
the thing is, it is difficult because I get it. I totally get it. And it's almost like you're waiting for that point where they go, "Oh shit, I need it now." But that's the other reason why you have to be prominent every day on
Mm.
their feeds,
Mm.
adding value, because they might not be ready this month, but next month they might be thinking, "Do you know what? Now is the month I have to do this." I keep people kids out. "Oh, who's that guy again?"
Yeah.
And you've stopped posting and you stopped showing up, and then all of a sudden they go with the next guy
Mm.
or girl.
And to use trades as another example, because I think it's really relevant, a builder's house is never finished. Right?
No.
No one saying, and any builder that I know that I'm friends with, I'm like, that is mostly a nice extension. Finishing it soon, and they're like, that, soon. Yeah, yeah, I'm working, right? That's fine, because those builders, when they come to, say, Jay, we're going to build your extension, they don't invite me around their house. I don't see the fact that their house is half finished. They show me the pictures of the work they've done beforehand. They get me in touch with Mrs. Miggs down the road, who's also had I'm like, yeah, look at your art, beautiful, great, you're the guys. So many social media companies, and it leads back to what you were saying beforehand about so many will wonderful, wonderful work for their clients, right? Just brilliant work, huge successes, brilliant, but don't market themselves at all.
No.
Like, and it's like I don't understand that, because that is the shop window. That is
Mm,
like that builder inviting everyone round to their half finished conservatory and being like, "Listen, I know this is half done, but yours will be finished, I promise." Will it?
mm.
No, I'm all right, mate. I'm cool. You can't even do your own. What? Now that makes total sense when you're talking about a tradesperson and not seeing it, but the social media people, they're like, but I'm awfully busy working on client
Mm.
stuff. I don't know that. I do
Yeah,
not know that, right? And if you're
yeah,
not going to continue to be there, and also what you're saying is like, sure, this month that person might not need it. Next month, they might not need it either. But they might see a post from someone saying,
yeah,
hey, does anyone know a tender writer? Does
Mm.
anyone know a gardener, right? I'm really looking for a kick-ass social media team to help me out. And they'll be like, there's this bloke I follow. There's
Yeah.
this woman I follow. There's this person actually I'm loving at the moment. You should check out. Been following them for a couple of months. I really trust them because of that, right? It's as simple as that. Once you know you've seen someone for a long time, people say to me a lot when we meet, they're like, you're like you are on the show, full of beans and
Yeah.
stuff, and I'm like, yeah, that's me. I don't. I'm not smart or clever enough to pretend this long. The show's been running for 3 or 4 years now. Every other week, I can't put up a facade for that long. Like my posts are about me and my feelings, right? If you don't like them, don't work with me because that's
Yeah.
exactly who you're going to get. Which is why I post it. So I
Yeah.
don't have to have a 45-minute conversation with you. At one point, I mentioned I like the UFC, and you're like, "Oh, I'd never work with a blood sport lover," and you're off the phone. Like, "Ah, come on." You know
Yeah.
that about me early, Bell, because I've got it in posts and different bits and pieces. And I find it cuts down as a traditional salesman. You used to have to smile while you dialed and put up hundreds of phone calls a day. It cuts out a lot of that.
Mm.
Like a post can go out and be seen by 1,000 people, and I'd never be able to make 1,000 phone calls in a day. And a
Mhm.
phone call, a lot, 99% of those, 98% of those phone calls was just a phone ringing.
Yeah.
Like Andy never picked up my phone. Maybe
No.
15 phone calls down the line, he was like, "What?" Right? And then I'm like, back foot. Whereas I could release videos for 6 weeks, and he could see it, and he could see it, and he could see it, and he can then be like, "Do you do?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I do that." Right? And we're in, as opposed to belling someone and hoping I'm catching them at the right time.